This is Craig, CigarCraig.com. We're out here on the back deck. We're going to review some cigars and some beers. The Flying Dog and CAO put together some pairings, and since I drank my lifetime allotment in my 20s, I brought in some experts. On my left I got Bruce Kramer, who's a certified beer judge, home brewer, and one of the masterminds behind Bacon Jams, which is a delicious food product.
Everything that goes together, beers, cigars, bacon jam, it's all a good combination.
Can't beat it. So what's your pairing?
So I'm going to be doing the Raging Bitch Belgian IPA along with the Gold Robusto.
Very good. And on my right we've got Jim Breslin. Jim's a noted author of Shoplandia. I got the umbrella post in the way. Also writes for the Westchester Dish. He's a food critic, I guess.
Food writer.
Food writer.
Yep.
Noted author, foodie, and beer and cigar lover.
That's true.
And what's your pairing starting off with?
Well, I'm starting with the CAO OSA, and I have the Snake Dog India Pale Ale.
I'm gonna smoke a Brasilia and a Reed's Extra Ginger beer, which should be a neat pairing. So we'll check back in a few minutes after we get things fired up and see how they taste.
It's quite some bottle opener, CAO Flying Dog bottle opener.
Bruce, how's your pairing? Remind us again, you're pairing the CAO Gold with the
Raging Bitch.
Raging Bitch, which is
Belgian IPA.
Seems
well, I'll tell
counter
you, Craig,
to me. Go ahead.
I had some doubts about the idea of pairing cigars and beers, and before you turned the camera on, we were just discussing the cigar and the descriptions of the cigar. This is what Connecticut wrapper, and Craig, who has had this before, described this kind of creamy, and I would agree. It's a mild cigar. It's got a lot of smoke, but there's not really any sharpness in the cigar, and I think it's got an interesting pairing with the Raging Bitch is a sharp beer. It's got a lot of hops, a lot of astringency in there, which is somewhat interesting, and I think the cigar actually changes the profile of the beer, in my taste, a bit favorable because it blunts it a little bit. Whereas I tried this beer prior to the cigar, and I thought it was sharp and astringent. Remember, Belgian IPA is not really a legitimate recognized beer style, right? So what they're doing is they're saying it's a Belgian style beer, and it's got an IPA level of hoppiness. So usually Belgian beers have fruity, estery aromas that come from fermentation, and the chosen fermentation yeast and temperatures kind of control that. And putting hoppiness into the beer at this level really covers much of what I typically think of the Belgian characteristic, and just drinking the beer alone, as I've thought in the past with this beer. It's a really strong, astringent beer. It's got a malty base, kind of in the Belgian range, more so than you'd find with an average American style IPA or British IPA. But the cigar kind of cuts a lot of the astringency out of the beer and makes it more palatable.
So you think they got a good pairing on that one?
I think they hit a pair that works well together.
Nice, very good.
So I think they were successful in this call.
All right, Jim, you ready to pan over and tell us about the?
All right. So I'm having the
Snake Dog,
the OSA, and the Snake Dog. The OSA is earthy, as Craig had suggested. It's a very good it's a mild cigar, definitely very enjoyable, and I like it with the Snake Dog because the Snake Dog IPA is kind of piney, and it's not hoppy at all. It's very smooth, and I don't love hops too much, so this is really, it's great. It's a mild cigar with a mild IPA, and both very enjoyable. I definitely could down another one of these with this. So I definitely recommend the Snake Dog. I think it says it snakes down the throat like a faithful friend.
Wow.
And it's a very drinkable beer. I guess it's really not sessionable at 7.1%, but
That's what I was going to ask
Yeah.
about the gravity of the beers that
Yeah,
we're tasting
so-
tonight. They're stronger beers, right?
yeah. So 7.1's a
alcohol
little stronger than usual, but it's a very enjoyable beer, and I would definitely pair those again.
Very nice. Good. Thank you.
We're at 8.3 here on the alcohol level.
8.3.
8.3.
That's pretty hefty.
It's a hefty beer.
It's hefty.
One of the interesting things about Flying Dog Brewery, which is based out of Maryland, somewhat local, we get a large selection of different varieties of Flying Dog. Although when I was down in Maryland and down where the brewery is, I was absolutely astounded by the range of beers they offer. They probably have in excess of 20 different styles.
Wow.
They make, and I guess, you know, seeing what shows up in the shops here in our geography, I didn't realize that their range is that big.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Very cool. Well, we'll check back, and so far the hopefully I'm in the frame. The
You are.
okay.
I got you now.
Cool. The Brasilia is a nice, bold, spicy cigar, and the Reeds is bold and spicy, and I enjoy the two of them mixed together. It's something I like the spice. I was a fan of the spice. So this is I have a little blow up problem, but that's nothing I can deal with, you know. So yeah. So far, we'll come back when we get to the second set of pairings, and we'll talk more about
the
them.
story on this MX2 Robusto?
Okay, well, we're rolling, so we'll get into the next pairing here. We've got Jim with the Brasilia,
And paired with the Gonzo Imperial Porter, which I'm very much looking forward to. I don't think I've ever had this porter, and I'm a big porter fan. And Craig has told me the Brasilia's got some spice and a little not quite as mild as the last one, so I'm looking forward to this pairing. I think it should be very enjoyable.
nice, and Bruce.
So I have the Pearl Necklace Oyster Stout, which is a stout that is actually brewed with oysters, and it's always an interesting combination. Nobody calls Flying Dog unadventurous in their brewing, and that's paired with the MX2 Robusto.
I'm also going to do the MX2 Robusto with a natural brewed draft root beer, whereas I think it seems like they go for kind of an opposite pairing, right? I go more of a complementary pairing, because this is typically kind of chocolatey and coffee, sort of the Maduro, the Maduro with a Maduro binder and Maduro wrapper, and of course the root beer. So we'll see how that goes. We'll check back in a few minutes when things get burning.
I'm looking forward then to the chocolatey and
I think you'll enjoy that.
Cool.
well, typically a stout beer is a roasty, chocolatey beer that usually has flavors that are reminiscent of coffee, and roastiness is the kind of hallmark defining character of stout.
Yep, cool. Well, let's see how they go.
Cheers.
All right, so Jim, you've got the Brasilia and the Gonzo Porter,
The Gonzo,
Imperial Porter.
Yeah, the Gonzo Imperial Porter and the Brasilia. I really like this. The Stogie is it's spicy, darker, definitely has more flavor than the mild one I had before, and it's just an enjoyable roasty feel. And this porter is really classic. It's it just has a good caramel taste, and just really smooth, palatable. Definitely something that I can't drink many of them. I think that's 8.5 or maybe even more. But a really nice porter. I love that it's called Gonzo Imperial Porter. It says here, "It never got weird enough for me," which is a quote from Hunter S. Thompson. Gonzo Porter. Yeah, being a porter fan, this is a really smooth, great porter that I would take. And it pairs very well with the Brasilia. This is my type of pairing. Very, very well done.
Nice, very good. So let's go over to Bruce.
All right. Well, I have the Oyster Stout and the MX2 Robusto, and the MX2, as we point out, is a Maduro wrapper and a dark, more chocolatey note cigar. And you know, it pairs well with the stout. Is traditionally a roasty, malty beer, which just has flavor of. I'm detecting a little salty note, which is, I seem to recall to be the case with this oyster stout. That's one of the highlights of having brewed with oysters, is you get some brininess in there. And I'm barely detecting it now, but I suspect it's an issue of my taste buds and sensitivity on this, you know, after the cigar, that they're not quite there. But the combination is pleasant. I usually don't drink dark type of stout beers with cigars. Usually I do stick with something that's a more hoppy, pale ale, ambers, and IPAs. But this pleasant combination, I'm enjoying it, and I think the cigar is going well.
Good.
And no real problems with the cigar.
Cool. Now if I can flip
All
it
right,
around
you ready
here,
for-
and I've
you
got
ready to talk about yours?
I've got the same cigar that you've got, which is a delicious Maduro cigar. Like you said, it's chocolatey, it's coffee, it's a typical good Maduro cigar. And the root beer, this is a nice, it's a creamy root beer. It's got a little root beer spiciness. It's a natural brew draft root beer. I got it at a local natural food store, and it's a nice, it's not overly carbonated, it's a nice smooth root beer. It goes well with a cigar. And I think we'll wrap this up. We thank the folks at the Flying Dog Brewery and CAO Cigars for providing us with these samples, and I thank these guys for coming over and drinking the beers for me. I appreciate
that was not really any problem, coming over to drink some beers and smoke
Happy
your
to
cigars.
do it. Happy to do it.
Do you have any more for next week?
We got to see what we can come up
A
with.
weekly feature.
But thank you very much, guys, and I appreciate it, and thank you, and we'll catch you later.